Hey, I'm Nate Savage, and fortunately there are some very simple things that you can do to ensure that you can make clean chords as you progress on the guitar. And you know, even as little as 5 minutes a day, if you apply these tips I'm gonna give you in this video, can make a really big difference in the way your chords sound. But I would recommend practicing at least 20 to 30 minutes a day, 4 to 6 times a week to see the best results. Let's go ahead and get into these tips, and if you have any questions along the way, you can leave them in the comments below, or you can leave some tips that have worked for you to help you make clean chords as you've learned the guitar. Number one, get your guitar set up. I can't tell you how many times I've played some beginner's guitar and checked it out, and it was just nearly impossible to play because the strings were so high off the fretboard. If you take your guitar to a local professional at a music store and get them to set it up for you to where it plays as easily as possible, your life is going to be a lot easier. It's money well spent. Number two, raise your guitar up higher. I see a lot of newer players who just sit down with a really casual kind of posture or position when playing the guitar, and the neck is really low, and they wonder why they have a hard time creating buzz-free chords. Try this. Get a strap on your guitar and raise it up a little higher, or use the footstool to raise your leg up a little higher. That's gonna bring the neck up a little bit and put it in a better position for you to create really good sounding chords. Number three, use the very tips of your fingers, or have your fingers stand very tall when you're making chords, and getting the guitar up a little bit higher will help with this tip. But if you come down on the very tips of your fingers, really tall fingers, it's gonna help with a couple things. It's gonna make sure the note that you're playing is clean, and it's gonna make sure that the neighboring strings aren't being muted by your fingers. Number four, make sure to have your fingers right behind the frets when you're making chords. If you have your finger toward the middle of the fret or more toward the back of the fret, the further back you go, the more buzz that's going to create. So get right behind the fret, but make sure not to be on it. That'll help make your chords clean sounding. Number five is kind of a general technique tip that'll kind of tie everything together and help with a lot of these other tips that we've already gone over. When you make chords, don't have your elbow up. Make sure to bring your elbow in a little bit, or at least kind of in a neutral hanging position. That will put your hand in a much better position to get a good angle of attack on the notes for the chord you're making. Number six is don't mute the neighboring strings. And this just takes a lot of practice, and it takes a lot of implementing of the other 5 tips that we've gone over so far. But just be aware if your fingers that you're fretting the notes with are muting up against the neighboring strings. If they are, go through the rest of the tips that we've gone over. Pull your elbow in, get right behind the frets, come down to the very tips of your fingers. And when you're learning new chords, put it on, take it off, put it on, take it off. And when I say that, I mean, put the chord on, go through the tips and make sure it's clean, then take it completely off and do it again, over and over again. Repetition is key here, and it's gonna help you implement all those tips and make them second nature. Next tip, number 8, is to just realize that at first you're gonna probably have to play or put your chord on one finger at a time. And that's just the way it kind of goes. You're programming your body to do a new thing, but you should be shooting for getting the entire chord shape on all at once. So don't feel bad if you have to do it one finger at a time as you learn these chords and start to implement these technique tips, but aim for getting the entire chord shape on all at once. Number 9 is pretty simple, and that's just practice multiple times per day, maybe 15 or 20 minutes in the morning, 15 or 20 minutes in the evening. The point is that the more times you force your brain and your hands to recall something, the more you're gonna retain it, and the quicker you're gonna retain it. So maybe try morning and evening practice sessions. Final tip, number 10, is really applicable to your entire guitar career, and that's just be consistent with your practice. If you practice once or twice a week and that's it, you're gonna have a really hard time getting this stuff down. If you practice 5 or 6 times a week, you're gonna get this down a lot faster, and it's gonna be a lot easier and more enjoyable for you. Now, you may have never played guitar before, you may have just started, or you may have tried to play the guitar before and failed. The important thing is that you believe that you can do it, and then you implement these tips on a regular basis and stay consistent with your practice. If you have to look at yourself in the mirror and say, hey, you can do this, then do that if that's what it takes. So make this a priority over the next few weeks if it's important to you. You know, at least 5 minutes a day. That can help you see progress. Push it to 15 to 30 minutes a day. If you can, you'll see better results. Now, if you need some more help getting into playing the guitar, I just launched a brand new course called Acoustic Guitar Made Easy, and it does go into more detail on how to make clean chords, but it also covers 5 critical areas of playing the guitar to help you get to where you can play the music that you love on the guitar. You can find out more information about that by clicking the link below this video. See you later.